Hi, Team One. Hi, Raylan, Kurt, Donna, and Leanne. And I'm going to just supplement what Jeff said by giving you some process feedback through, Jeff had his feedback to your recommendation. And now I'm going to go look through your work and give you a few comments. Everything I say is clearly subjective. I wasn't in your team process. I'm sort of looking at the artifacts and making some judgment calls. So please take everything as such and feel free to push back on anything I say. So I'll start with just looking again at your proposal. How might Jeff and Carolyn access trusted human resources? And that seems to me like a really well-defined problem statement in terms of being convergent, that you sort of identify that trusted human resources was a key thing, and if Jeff could crack that challenge, all the other ones would follow, and that it would ultimately allow him to meet goals of, let's say, for example, serving 100,000 clients. And so now if I flip to, I have your process document here. What I have, sorry, actually, we're going to sort of flip not in order. First of all, I want to say that I appreciate the, what a great document. Thank you for the creative efforts on making the document. And so now let's go to your BHAG. And of course, as Jeff said, around the scalability, it's not clear to me when I go through your process how you came to that. So you saw 100,000 clients by 2025 as a good goal. Now, whether that's realistic or not really isn't the point right now. But the point behind that BHAG, the underlying principle, is that you saw scaling the business as important and scaling it substantially. And I guess when I go through your Diverge, Converge, and all the other documents you put in here, all the other documents you put in here, I don't understand where you came to that. That was a key decision point. So what I'd like to know is, how did you come to that decision? So when you're thinking about your paper, how did you come to the decision that scalability was the key point? So again, I would say that that I can see the logic behind your problem, your question around growing the business through acquiring trusted human resources. I'm not seeing the logic behind scalability. So Jeff did have questions about that, and that means either he doesn't get your logic and that you would want to explain it better, or in fact you would reconsider and say, maybe scalability isn't the goal. So especially because this is such a high-touch business that where the personal relationships are so important, that it seemed that scaling was a bold thing to suggest, scaling to this degree, and I was wondering how you came to that decision. So when I keep going through your documents, I'm going to talk about your process and your documents in a moment. I just want to go, I just want to sort of get to your solution, my comments on. Okay, so my next comment came about when I looked at your criteria. Hold on, which I thought were great, and I just wanted to comment on that. That I thought that they really did describe what you seemed to value, that they were accurate and that they didn't overlap. I thought they were really strong and precise. So good work on that. So again, in terms of your paper, you're going to ask the question, well, how did you attain that level of precision? Some teams didn't, right? Some teams remained very divergent and had all kinds of criteria. What was also good about these criteria is that all criteria are assessing both feasibility and desirability, right? You want to sort of achieve something. So in your case, you want to deliver trusted human resources. You want it to align with values. You want it to be scalable, but you also want it to be feasible, which you are measuring through whether it's attainable. So you sort of have both sides of that coin, because all solutions need to be both feasible and both desirable and feasible. And you are, in fact, assessing both those things with your criteria. So great work. So that said, of course, once I'm questioning the scalability question, then the consultants question came, then your solution of consultants. Also, I would ask you how you came to that. And it wasn't entirely clear to me when I look at your decision matrix how you came to consultants. So so to me, like the two trade-offs you're looking at with Jeff, which is clearly the trusted human resources, clearly that that they need to be trusted. Clearly, consultants that always, unless I'm not understanding the recommendation, that there's always that risk of consultants don't have the same relationship. Although I see what you're saying, that you think that they can have near the same relationship. They don't have the same relationship with the company often as an employee. And if you want to make the argument that that's different, then then great, make that argument. But that would be the immediate fear of consultants, that you're weighing off quality for cost, for flexibility, for other things when you're hiring consultants instead of having a full-time employee. And so I think that has to be acknowledged somewhere. That doesn't mean you still don't go with your solution, but to say that consultants, when I look at your criteria, that it aligns with values to the same degree as other options, I'm not sure how you came to that conclusion. So here's a business that cares about people, that cares about this sort of long-term relationships. I'm not sure of the logic behind how you concluded that hiring consultants aligns with Ludique's values. Moreover, even if you are right now arguing with me in your head and saying it does align with the values for this reason, I would still suggest that with any decision, if it's a true decision, there are pros and cons. What I see when I look at your matrix is that you kind of see consultants as this ideal solution, besides it not being novel, which fine, but otherwise sort of it's attainable, it aligns with values, it delivers trusted human resources, and it's scalable. Well, that in a way that leads me to question, are you really looking at it in are you trying to just support the idea that you like, or are you looking at it in a critical way? Are the other two ideas true contenders? Clearly, the second one came in way lower. You rated it way lower than the other two. Is the partnering with nonprofits and social, is that a true idea that you believe would have stood a chance? Or was your matrix sort of done in a way that favored your favorite solution? So hopefully you get what I'm asking there. So in terms of the evaluation matrix, I have questions. So I have two questions with it. One is, why is scalability there? I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but I'm saying it's not clear through reading your process how you came to that decision that was so important for Ludique. It's great that you did converge on something so bold. The question is why. And then secondly, how did you come to your assessments that in fact consultants? I know this team worked really hard, so I suspect that you have your reasons for coming to this conclusion. So when you go back and do your next iteration, you could decide that the challenge here was a communication challenge, that there wasn't, that your solution is great and it was just not well understood, or you could decide that actually there were challenges that were more substantive than just communication. Let me just read what I wrote. Okay. So let me look at your process. Now, you did send me the low-res version, so I did try to sort of look, and I went back into some of your line notes. And I have to say, what I notice about this team, given that I have the opportunity to sort of look at you on a relative scale compared to other teams, both in this class and historically, is you produced a lot. There's a lot of work here. So first of all, great for you. I mean, so thank you for doing all that work. I see you, when I look at all this work, it looks like you've gone above and beyond. For example, you used the success zone tools, and that wasn't even required. So great work. So what I'd like to know in the paper is, what was your experience of that work? So sometimes this is a sign that people were really excited and creative, and that the ideas were just pouring out. And that's great. Sometimes it's a sign that that sort of deeper work that's the quantity, producing lots, as opposed to sort of dealing with core issues that need to be dealt with. That if you produce lots of ideas, you're doing, instead of maybe sort of sitting in a room and really having hard discussions. It was what's needed. I'm not saying that's what's happening in this case. I'm just saying I would ask for your analysis when you write your paper. So so I'm observing a lot of work. I find it very impressive, and I'm wondering what is the relationship between your experience of creative process and the fact that you produce so much work. Those are all my comments for you, team. Please let me know if you have questions. I hope this is helpful for you in writing your paper for this weekend. All right. Thank you.